Good morning, and welcome to today's hearing on Hong Kong's Summer of Discontent and U.S. policy responses. This is the second China Commission hearing this year on the situation in Hong Kong. During our May hearing, the Commission heard compelling testimony from Hong Kong pro-democracy advocates, including Martin Lee and Nathan Law, who expressed serious concerns about the extradition bill that was quickly moving towards becoming law at that time. That legislation would have put anyone in Hong Kong, including U.S. citizens, at risk of extradition to mainland China. Over the last 16 weeks, millions of people from all walks of life in Hong Kong have taken to the streets in an unprecedented and sustained show of unity. The protesters have inspired the world and have risked their lives, their health, their jobs, and their education to fight for the future of Hong Kong. Thank you for your courage and thank you for your bravery. We stand in solidarity with you. As protests continued throughout the summer, Hong Kong police used excessive and unnecessary force to target those engaged in peaceful demonstrations. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has called for an investigation. The UK has suspended export licenses for the sale of tear gas and crowd control equipment. In the House of Representatives, Congressman Chris Smith and I have introduced H.R. 4270, the Protect Hong Kong Act, that would prohibit U.S. exports of police equipment to Hong Kong. U.S. companies should not be selling equipment used to violently crack down on pro-democracy protesters. I hope Congress will pass this legislation as soon as possible. The One Country, Two Systems framework was enshrined in the 1984 Sino-British Declaration and Hong Kong's Basic Law. This is an international treaty signed by the Chinese government to allow Hong Kong a high degree of autonomy with the ultimate aim of electing its chief executive and legislative council members by universal suffrage. The 2014 umbrella movement protests were sparked by the Chinese government reneging on its commitment to make Hong Kong more democratic. It is the continuing erosion of Hong Kong's autonomy and rule of law that fuel the protests in Hong Kong today. Over the last 5 years, the Chinese government has prioritized control over Hong Kong by stifling free expression and restricting the space for democratic participation. We have seen the prosecution and sentencing of pro-democracy leaders, the disqualification and removal of pro-democracy legislators, and the introduction of a new national anthem bill that would restrict free expression. U.S.-Hong Kong relations are governed by the U.S.-Hong Kong Policy Act of 1992 that commits the United States to treating Hong Kong as a separate customs territory from the rest of China, so long as Hong Kong remains sufficiently autonomous. I'm proud to support H.R. 3289, the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act sponsored by Senator Rubio and Congressman Smith. The legislation would require the Secretary of State to certify on an annual basis that Hong Kong is sufficiently autonomous in order to justify special economic, financial, and trade treatment different from mainland China under U.S. law. Over the years, Hong Kong has prospered and become the financial center of Asia because of its strong commitment to the rule of law, good governance, human rights, and an open economic system. The erosion of this unique system threatens not only the people who attempt to speak out, but the economic vitality of the city itself. So to be clear, we stand together with the people of Hong Kong and indeed all the people of China when we express our concerns about the human rights violations of the Hong Kong and Chinese governments.